Hello and welcome, beautiful people, for another episode here at Stuck is Lava. Today we have a very Italian match. We can see Simone versus Stefano. Simone is playing Eldrazi Tron and he just presented his pre-game action, Devourer of Destiny, while Stefano is playing Grixis Reanimator. It's gonna be a nice matchup. There we go. Devourer exiled 3 cards adjusting Eldrazi Tron hand. Expedition map in the battlefield. They remembered the life totals. Unfortunately, we get to see the splash screen from Avatar. I'm not a big fan of this Universe Beyond. There we go, fetch shock for Stefano. Both the decks are very good decks in my opinion. Faithless Looting for Stefano. 1 Archon drawn through the Faithless Looting. 2 Archons to graveyard and 1 Persist in hand. This is probably the best start for Grixis Reanimator. Eldrazi Tron plays a land and pass the turn. There we go. Land shock again. Ready for a big, huge persist. Simone is sensing something. There we go. Persist. And Kozilek Command. Kozilek Command, I want to remind to everybody that one of the modes is exile X cards out of target player's graveyard. And so when Persist targeted the Archon, he just exiled it. Very good play for Simone at this point. Urza's Mine. Simone disrupted the best start for Grixis Reanimator. Right in the feelings. Emotional damage. Those 6 life points. They're not just 6 damages, it's emotional damage. Frog. Simone responds to Frog. He wants to exile the Frog and exile the Archon. That's a slaughter. Seriously. Eldrazi Tron is playing very defensively, respecting a lot the Grixis Reanimator plan. Faithless Looting. Drawing 2, and then discarding 2. Fatal Push. and Steam Vents. Polluted Delta and passing the turn. Eldrazi cracks them up. Taking a power plant to finishing the Tron. Right now, Stefano is questioning his play, but I gotta say that there was nothing wrong in what he did. He had a turn 2 combo, he tried to go for the combo, Simone just had the answer. Karn. Karn could be very, very big at this point of the game. Removing whole Stefano's hope to win or take back this game. And there we go, Ghost Vacuum Cleaner. It's not just a piece of hate for the graveyard, it's also super good to get advantage of what Grixis could put, like getting the threats from Grixis for its own sake. Stefano conceded it was too much to handle. Second game, they're showing their hands. Simone is showing 2 Devourers of Destiny. And there we go, pre-game action. This card was very controversial at the very beginning when it came out, because many people thought that it was not good enough to get into the deck. Turned out that it was not just good enough, it was the perfect fit, because allowing you to look for at the top 4 cards, and in this case top 8 cards, adjusting what you're gonna draw, not just fixes you when you need to finish your turn, but also helps you to find your graveyard, your hate for the opponent, helps you to find one of your sideboard cards, for example. And this is the huge advantage that Simone is taking at this point. He kept on top a Kozilek command that is what won for him the previous match. Ujin's Labyrinth for Mindstone. Basically, he has already 3 mana on turn 1. Grixis Reanimator, fetching. He's already questioning his game, not even started. Stefano took Undercity Sewers to Surveil. Surveilling, no Archon to the graveyard. And fetch pass. Not all the players are like Mengucci that are able to turn 1 Surveil Archon to the graveyard. Some people have to dig harder. Eldrazi Temple. Surveilling again. Let's see if Stefano is at least almost as lucky as Mengucci. Bye, Mengu. No. Even though Stefano is Italian, he's not as lucky as the famous one. And land pass. I guess the best way to deal with Eldrazi Tron is to be the beatdown and try to disrupt Eldrazi's game, but at this point, like, he's building up his lands and soon it's gonna be out of control. While Stefano surveils again. I still can't sense the Mengu spirit. He kept on top. At least he liked this card, but it was not an Archon Surveil to the graveyard. Island. Two mana. Emperor Bones. Exiling nothing since Simone's graveyard is empty and all the cards that you can see below his deck are just exiled. Now Simone is asking how Emperor Bones works, like how does it work to adapt the Emperor. The adapt triggers can be activated as many times as you want, but once the +1/+1 counters hit the Emperor Bones, you cannot adapt anymore. So if in response to an adapt trigger the opponent wants to kill the Emperor, you can adapt again if you have enough mana. And eventually, just once, you're gonna reanimate something that you exiled with the Emperor Bones. So it doesn't matter how many times you trigger the ability, just one time activation. Taking for damages. Dismember on the Emperor. Graveyard. Land for turn. Knowing Simone's hand and seeing how many lands are on the battlefield, I think he's already out of control. And Emperor Bones again. Nothing to exile. Or he just didn't exile anything. You don't have to exile creatures with the Emperor Bones. You can also exile whatever is in the graveyard. Opponent's graveyard and your graveyard. Glaring for Shrieker. This card is a very, very good endgame alternative to the big threats that Tron usually go for. It's something you have to get rid of. You cannot let it enter the battlefield. And Stefano knows it. Consigned to memory. That small little thing can win games out of nowhere. You need just 2 Kozilek command and you have plenty of damage and plenty of Eldrazi spawns on the battlefield. Devourer of Destiny. Big, huge, fat. Simone just moved the Devourer on another kind of exile zone. Oh, another consigned to memory on the Devourer of Destiny. So still the Devourer that he moved up there, it's still exiled with the Eugene Labyrinth. Fulminator Mage. Yeah, what year is it? Targeting Urgent Labyrinths, getting rid of the Devourer of Destiny. And then exiled through the Emperor of Bones and played again through the Adapt ability of Emperor of Bones. Attacking for 6. Destroying an Eldrazi Temple. Well, this was a pretty big comeback. That was totally unexpected. Also because in 2025 no one plays Fulminator Mage anymore. Well, no one. Stefano does. Moving to combat phase, exiling a Devourer of Destiny from Eldrazi's graveyard, attacking for 4. Kozilek command, X is 7. The modes are scrying 7 and having 7 Eldrazi spawns. Sorry, X is 5. In response, persist on the Fulminator Mage, destroying a power plant. And then Psychic Frog. This is an intense game. It's like, it looked very stale and now everything is happening. Seven mana Ujin. Yeah, that's way too big. Stefano suggested what to take out of the Eugene cast ability. Stefan is surprised how destroying so many lands gets still Tron able to completely function. And Simone just replied, I floated. I didn't want to draw so many lands. Putting on the battlefield is way too hard to handle. Especially with 2 cards in hand. 2 lands in hand. Stefano conceded and now they're showing their sideboard. Vexing Bubble and All Is Dust out for 2 Disruptor Flutes, while for Grixis 3 Consign to Memory in and 2 Melts Down, and 4 Fatal Push out plus an unmarked Grave. I mean, Fatal Pushes are probably the most useless cards against Tron. Now we have Robin with Esper Reanimator, another Reanimator, and Yon with Ruby Storm. There we go, they're showing the initial hand, you can see below. And they're ready to start. Fetch pass for Yon. Robin surveils. Planes to the graveyard. He has very, very cool lands. Survey land for Yoninga too. They're trying to see if they match or I don't know, guys, do you know what's the right sequence to let them complete the image? I'm not sure about that. Is there a sequence? Fetch to the graveyard. Untap. Draw. And that's a good draw. Ruby Medallion. Fetching for basic. And it's probably time for Ruby Storm to set up the game. Let's see if he's gonna play the Ruby Medallion now. I think so. Of course, Ruby Medallion. It resolves. Robin kept the Force of Negation, but it was kinda good not to counter it at this point because he drew a Prismatic Ending. that is really willing to play. I mean, personally, I would never let resolve the Ruby Medallion if I don't have a way to get rid of it. Fetch Shock for an amazing Godless Shrine. And there we go. Oh yeah, he already had a Prismatic Ending, so that's why he just drew the second. That was just a Final Fantasy art of a Prismatic Ending. There we go. Land played tapped. Fetch again. And then Frog. No land drop passing the turn. Robin fetches. Undercity Sewer. And there we go. Swamp. We can see he's pretty set up to play against Storm at this point. Drawing one out of the Frog. I really want to see how Jon is gonna get out of this situation right now. Ruby Medallion. Consigned to memory. Medallion is gone. It could be too dangerous because Storm at this point with 1 mana open could start the combo. Frogs attacking and Fateful Mending in response to the attack. Discarding Atraxa. And a land. Oh wait, Frog didn't attack, so White was tapped. Okay, that was at the end of Jon Inge's turn. Now Frog is attacking. Drawing with Frog. Land for turn and pass. Hard times for Ruby Storm after 2 medallions were negated. Moving the lands, deciding what to do, and the answer is two mana, periodic ritual, force of negation. It's a big, huge no. Maybe Jan wanted to start comboing without any Ruby Medallion. Pretty bold. Two mana. The only available play. Quantum Riddler. Throwing one with Riddler. Land for turn. Discarding Ephemerate and Prismatic Ending on the Frog. The Frog is now 3/4. Ephemerate on the Riddler, drawing 2 cards, 2 lands, discarding them both to the Frog, Frog is now 5/6, drawing 2 cards. Glorious Vengeance in Robin's Hand. Ready to use on that Atraxa. And a Force of Negation in Robin's Hand. Periodic Ritual. Jon is trying to start without any enabler like Ruby Medallion or Ral. Fetching for 1. Or no, fetch Shock for Robin. Very, very nice lands. This should be an allowed Fontaine. Force of Negation. Storm passes the turn. Yeah, Storm conceded. It was way too big at that point. Attacks in the graveyard, and then the Riddler Frog combo is way too hard to handle for a Storm deck that is not storming at turn 4. Way too much to handle. Strike it Reach. Treasure for Ruby Storm. Watery Grave. And Thoughtseize. This Storm is having hard time. And the target for this Thoughtseize is gonna be Ral. Or I would choose Ral, honestly. And apparently Robin agrees to my choice, and he picked Ral. Two red runs Resolve. Maybe Robin wants to counter it. Resolves. Double Piratic Ritual. Exile with Ren. What to do, what to do. This hand is not as explosive as the previous one, but Robin has still some good threats. Force of Negation, unfortunately, needs to pitch a blue card that at this moment is just the Quantum Riddler. And the other card in hand, oh no, he also has a Consign to Memory, which is still a card that I would keep for later. Prismatic Ending on the treasure made from Strike It Reach. Piratic Ritual. Piratic Ritual again. Ren's Resolve. That's another enchant. Manamorphose. Force of Negation, pitching, Consign to Memory. So no mana left for Yon. Playing the land, passing the turn. But also no resources left for Robin, 2 lands in hand. Passing the turn. Orim's Chant, get exiled. Surveilling top. And now Frog. Passing the turn. Ruby Medallion resolves. And then pass. Glorious Vengeance in Robin's hand. Attacking with Frog. Discarding 1 card. Frog is a 2/3. Drawing 1. Griselbrand. Well, that's a lucky draw. Gorios and Griselbrand, one after another. I can't think of anything better at this point. Robin passes the turn. The glaring is real, and Valakut Awakening. This allows Yon to discard as many cards as he wants from his hand and drawing the same +1, same number +1. Storm count is 1. Potentially, he can take a look at he can draw up to 4 cards. Discarding Griselbrand to the Frog. And then Gorio Vengeance it back to life. Griselbrand resolves. Storm count is 2 now. Drawing 7. Leaving Robin at 6 life. No counters, nothing to deal with that Valakut Awakening out of 7 cards. So unlucky, so unfortunate. Then yeah, Valakut Awakening resolves. Getting rid of 2 cards, drawing 3. The cards were not discarded, they were just put on the bottom of the owner library. Desperate Ritual. Storm count is 3 now. Searching for land, mountain. And now it's a matter of what he drew out of that Valakut Awakening. A Past in Flames, allowing him to give flashback to all the cards in his graveyard. Phyretic Ritual. Drawing 2 cards or exiling 2 cards. Ritual again. And Rand's Resolve. At this point, basically the storm count doesn't matter anymore. Will he be able to find the finisher card for this game? I saw a wish, so maybe yes. Reckless Impulse. Metamorphose. And yes, not just a wish, but also a grape shot. It was enough to kill him. And yeah, very unlucky draw with Griselbrand. Oh well, third game. It was okay, I mean, he tried his best. Very good starting hand. 2 Gorios, 2 Faithful Mending. Quite good. But also on the other side there's a Ral and enough cards to start the combo quite early. Fetch pass, fetch pass. He is choosing which surveil land he wants to start with. And there we go, surveil land. Keep the frog on top, drawing for turn, and then playing the frog. Jan surveils as well. Well, I gotta say that Robin has a very interesting hand. It's very, like, reactive in theory because he has 2 Faithful Mending that allow him to draw, a Prismatic Ending that reacts just in his turn, and then 2 Gorios. Everything could happen at this point. Past in Flames, Graveyard, out of the surveil trigger. Will Jon play Deral at this point, trying to let him survive through the next turn? Reckless Impulse. Setting up for the next turn. Another Goryo Vengeance. And no land drop. Not a very good situation for Robin at this point. Next turn is gonna be crucial for Ruby Storm. He discards 3 to Frog. And he found the land. Prismatic Ending to the graveyard out of the surveil trigger. Very difficult decision for Jon since he just drew Orim's Chant. Shocking the Sacred Foundry. And then how to start? How to start? Ral. Storm count is 1, and that's also the Ral count. The small die is the Ral count. Let's remind to everybody that Storm is counting all the spells, whatever counts as a storm trigger, and Ral just counts instants and sorceries. So that's why we need a second die to distinguish. Artist talent. I think that shouldn't increase the Ral's count, but maybe I'm wrong. Manamorphose. Storm count is 4 now. He uses the artist talent ability to draw 1, discard 1, or discard 1, draw 1. Runs resolve. In response, he wants to discard another card and draw 1. Still through the artist talent. Runs resolve. Triggers Ral. And then runs resolve resolves. Manamorphose. Discarding or enchant, drawing 1 through the artist talent. Ral's trigger. And then again, Reckless Impulse. Taking 1 damage through the Ral trigger. Runs resolve resolves. No, it was Reckless Impulse, sorry. Okay, he was counting the spells that were not instant or sorceries. That's why he increased the number. So basically he has five instant and sorceries. He was keeping track of what was not giving Ral the possibility to gain more loyalty counters. That makes sense now. Desperate Ritual, Storm count is 8. Discarding through Artist Talent. Ral's trigger. It now flips with 6 loyalty counters on top of the 2 he already has. And 3 red mana floating. So at this point, minus 8 from Ral, drawing 8 cards and playing all the instant and sorceries for free. Seven instant and sorceries, 1 land exile. Robin conceded. Well, it was a very good game. I mean, the last game was a little bit unfortunate for Robin, but I gotta say that the first and second game were quite nice. And sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it just happens that you have a bad game and that's it, guys. He just didn't draw whatever he needed to let the game continue, and Jon drew good enough in order to combo. Oh well, we're now gonna move on to the next game. Esper Reanimator is gone. There we go, third match of the tournament. And it's a mirror match. Bjorn versus Stian. Eldrazi Tron. Today a lot of Trons. They're showing their initial hand. Bjorn had a mulligan to 5. Not the best of the starts. But they both have a Devourer of Destiny to adjust their initial draw. Yeah, pretty good start for Stian. Two Karn exiled and a Dismember. He left on top a Kozilek Command. One of the best cards of the deck. Expedition map, pass. Now it's time for Bjorn to adjust the draw. And he really needs it since he decided to keep without any land. Urza's Tower, Expedition map. Wow. Thought-Knot Seer. That's not good. Not good at all, because now Stian knows how desperate the situation is. And of course, he decided to take the talisman. So now it's hard for him. And lucky motherfucker, land. Which is pretty good at this point, because attacking from the Thought-Knot Seer, Bjorn can crack them up and get the third land. Wow. Also, Stian decided to crack them up in his turn. Cavern of Souls. He plays it. Cracking them up also for Bjorn. Basic Forest. Well, given the fact that Bjorn has in hand Sowin Miko Spawn, that basic green was needed to keep ramping. That's a pretty good mana base for someone who started without any land. Playing a Boseiju. And so will Miko Spawn as well, but this time is kicked. Sorry, no, it's... yeah, is it? Yes, it is kicked. Taking away the Urza's Tower. And then attacking with the Thought-Knot Seer for 4. No blocks. The selected land is Ujin Labyrinth for Stian. He plays it. He plays it, imprinting Devourer of Destiny. Karn. Looking for some juicy card on the sideboard. Big indecision. Okay. Nice choice, I think. I would like to say fresh from Edge of Eternities, but since then we already had 2 more sets. I think the sets rotate way too quickly right now. Attacking. Face. Stian doesn't care about that Karn on the battlefield. and Kozilek Command. Axis 6. So 6 Eldrazi spawns, scrying 6, drawing 1. Such a versatile card. Kozilek Command is one of the best cards in the Eldrazi deck. There are plenty of good cards in this deck, but everything bottom, just one card drawn. Like, Kozilek Command is the card that you always want to have in hand. Karn minus again. More cards from the sideboard. More hate on Bjorn's side. Five mana, 3 mana, and Snaring Bridge. Now they're only allowed to attack if the force of the creatures attacking is less than the cards in Bjorn's hand, which are 3 if I'm not wrong. 3, confirm. Ujin. No target for the cast trigger. The target must be colored, and right now there are just colorless permanent on the battlefield. Karn pluses. Expedition map. Cracking the map. Looking for an Urza's Tower probably. Yes, of course. Seven. Ujin. Exciting. Nothing exiled to the cast trigger again. And passing the turn. Still 3 cards in Bjorn's hand. Bjorn is tapped out. Plus an Ujin. tons of mana available on Stian's side. City of 7 death. Not 1, 7. I had a big discussion about this card. I like it, but I understand this. It depends. It's not always the best option to put the opponent in danger. Still, 7 death, not 1. And yeah, many times the ward 7 life is not much of a big deal, but sometimes it's too much to handle. Bjorn plus Sujin and Karn. It's a difficult situation at this point because Ujin is very close to the ultimate. So it's time to do something. Bjorn has to do something. Malevolent Rumble. Let's start. Getting the land, it's a power plant. It's him? No. It's the Extinguisher Battleship. It's a battleship. It's a battleship in the freaking Magic game. So when it enters, it destroys permanent and assign 4 damages. To all the creatures on the battlefield. So Stian in response decided to Kozilek command, sacrificing all the Eldrazi spawns, otherwise those are lost to the 4 damages. And the mods are probably scrying and scrying and exiling cards from the graveyard. 7 cards. No other target because he cannot exile any creature on the battlefield from Bjorn's side. There are no creatures. The battleship is not a creature yet. Deciding in what order cards have to be put back on Stian's library. 3 cards on top apparently. 3 cards on top, drawing 1. And now the battleship resolves 4 damage to everything, and the target for destroying the permanent is Ujin. Now it's time for Stian to do something about the opponent's Ujin. Karn. Guys, I want to know, knowing that in Bjorn's hand there's an Emrakul, would you play the same as him? Would you play the battleship instead of Emrakul? Do you think it was better to have the battleship on the board, or Emrakul was a better option? I want to know, what do you think? Maybe you can write it in the comments. I would have gone for Emrakul, my opinion. Disruptor Flute. And so win Miko spawn. So it's kicked. He also wants to destroy a land. Urza's tower is gone. And another labyrinth. And now it's time to play the flute, naming Ujin. Imprinting a Devourer of Destiny on the Ujin's labyrinth. And passing the turn. Karn, -2 again, searching for something in the sideboard. Another funny thing is that Karn allows you to search for something outside the game, and we decided that outside the game is the sideboard. But pro tip is, you can also check your exiled cards, because those are also a target that you can choose from. Of course, maybe the sideboard is the best place, but if you already used a sideboard piece that you really want back, you could also check your exiled cards. There we go. The piece has been chosen. Cosile command. X is 5. So 5 Eldrazi spawn plus scrying 5, drawing 1. The Ulamog that I can see from here looks quite tasty. Quite tasty. Drawing 1. Playing a Cavern of Souls. And that's it, passing the turn. Stian is thinking about a way to get rid of its Snaring Bridge. Minus Karn. He's counting the available mana. He said 10. He's also thinking about taking the battleship. No, no battleship this time. Is he gonna play it? Cityscape Leveler. When it enters, it destroys something, a permanent, and he decided to take Ujin. He was probably a little bit scared that the flute was not enough, or that the flute could have been destroyed on the next turn, allowing Ujin to go for the ultimate. So he decided probably to not to get rid of the Ensnaring Bridge. Maybe, in my opinion, at this point it was a little bit better to play the battleship, allowing him to deal 4 damages to all the spawns and then attacking on Ujin with the Seire of 7 deaths. Love that card. I think it was a little bit more effective. As always, if you have different opinions, I invite you to prove me wrong in the comments. We are not pro players, we are just enthusiasts. I'm enthusiast as well. So I may be completely wrong about what I think it could be the right play. Emrakul, the Promised Land. Usually when this card hits the battlefield, it's game. It's so disruptive, there's no much you can do. So Bjorn wanted to tap Emrakul in order to be able to activate the battleship, but Stian reminded him that there is a card that prevents all the abilities to be activated, so he cannot use the battleship ability for crewing. I don't remember what's the Edge of Eternity's version of crewing, because of Karn. So Stian has 1 mana open. If I was him, I would throw that Dismember to something on Bjorn's side. I mean, at some point. So cards in Stian hand are 2 lands and a Dismember. Bjorn is plussing Stian's Karn on Flute, so Flute is now a 2/2. Dismember on the Sowing Miko Spawn for life. The Flute crushing onto Emrakul. If I'm not wrong, you can also crack the map, failing to search for the land. So maybe it was also another resource. Seems like this Emrakul was underpowered at this point. Stian drew 1 more land. Karn plus in the turn. And there we go. Now it's time for the big stuff, I think. Like, Bjorn's end is more on fire than the stack is Lava Channel right now. Cityscape Leveler, getting rid of the Karn. But still, the ensnaring bridge that Bjorn took at the very beginning of the game is basically slowing him down also. Plus Incarn. No good draws on Stian's side. Talisman. So Bjorn knows that in Stian's end there's only one forest and nothing more. Okay, Stian gets back a Devourer of Destiny from the Ujin's Labyrinth and he plays it. And he doesn't have enough mana to get the other Devourer of Destiny. -2 Karn, taking a Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista, X is 7. Or the double X is 7. Now the battleship is actually a creature. A big creature. And end of the turn, Stian gets back the other Devourer of Destiny out of the Ujin's Labyrinth. Devourer of Destiny. Unfortunately, the exiling effect of the Devourer of Destiny works just on colored cards. So still in this situation, no target. And Training Sphere, because why not? It's there, just play it. Still one forest in Stian's end. Urza's Tower. Plusing card. Paying 7 to... He thought he could assign all the damages to the Sire, but it means he should take 7 damages for every single ping. So it's a little bit too much. He can't do that. So he changed his mind. He has to find another way to get rid of the Sire of 7 deaths. Still, if I'm not wrong, Ulamog can do the trick. Ulamog. Yes, getting rid of the ensnaring bridge. And since now the cityscape leveler can attack, on the attack trigger he can destroy a permanent. And it's gonna be the Sire. Devastating attack. The bridge is gone. And Stian gives up. It was too big of an attack. 39 minutes in the round, so I don't think there's gonna be an end to this second game. The Warrior of Destiny is a pre-game action from Bjorn. Stian had an expedition map instead. Checking the top 4 cards, saving 1 for later, exiling 3. Urza's Tower. Urza's Mine, passing the turn, ready to crack the map. Glaring Flesh Raker. Still great turn 2 for Bjorn. In a very good situation that could ensure him a win. Urza's Tower out of expedition map for Stian. And I love the smell of a Tron turn 3. Sire. It's like maybe not the best card at this point, but still a good card. If Stian can survive this round, and he actually apparently can, swinging for 7 with that big creature is quite good. I never remember how many abilities that shit has. For sure, Lifesteal, Vigilance, First Strike, Kozilek Command. And Kozilek Command on the Glaring Flesh Raker. Maybe it was a little bit better to use that Kozilek Command while Stian was still tapped out. I don't know if he had it in hand, but now is a little bit unfortunate. At that point, since Bjorn played the Kozilek command in his turn, I would have waited. Like, let's see what Stian is about to play. Let's see what I can do. But yeah. Oh no, it was in Stian's turn. So yeah, definitely I would have played it in my turn while he was tapped out. Absolutely. So in Miko spawn, getting rid of power plant. Playing Urza's Mine. Tron is complete. Karn. -2. Getting again and snaring bridge. Stalling the game. 4 cards in hand for Bjorn. Expedition map. And then Talisman of Resistance. Even though Stian doesn't have Tron anymore, he has 7 Eldrazi spawn to play basically whatever in his deck. But he is gonna have Tron back very soon with the expedition map ready to be cracked. Otawara played as land. Emrakul. The Promised Land. And then Karn, -2. Getting something else from the sideboard. And apparently it's going to be a liquid metal coating, but for the next turn. Time for Bjorn to control Stian's turn. Sacrificing all of the spawns. Apparently nothing special. Still, what I would do at this point would be sacrificing that expedition map with no target, like failing to find, or finding something useless like another forest, not giving the possibility to complete the Tron. Bjorn passes the turn to Stian again. Power plant, not even the need to crack the expedition map, but nothing to play. Unfortunately for Stian, nothing to play. And there we go, turns in the round. Okay, so 5 turns left from Bjorn's turn actually, because this is the first extra turn. Big indecision for Bjorn. He just needs to let the time run off, because he already has 1 win. He just needs to not to let Stian win the match. Liquid metal coating, getting rid of the power plant. Plussing Karn, of course. So how does it work? Liquid metal coating makes a permanent becoming an artifact. Karn, with the plus ability, makes an artifact becoming a creature based on the artifact mana cost. Given that the land is a 0 mana cost creature at that point, it also has 0 defense and it dies. That's why liquid metal coating destroys lands. Probably this could be basic knowledge, but maybe not everybody knows it. For 4 turns left in the round. Stian passes, 3 turns left. Plussing Karn, getting rid of Urza's Tower. The sequence should always be liquid metal coating, getting Urza's Tower, becoming an artifact, and then plussing Karn, but it's okay. And then Cityscape Leveler, getting rid of the City. Yeah, they're discussing on how many rounds. Now it should be Stian's 4th additional round. But I want to remind, when the turns are called by the tournament organizer, the active player finish its turn, and then from the next turn on, we start counting 5 turns. So now Stian passed and it was Bjorn's turn, last turn in the match, and he passes and nothing done. So Bjorn's wins 1-0. And the sideboard plan for Bjorn is basically always the same. No sideboard, he relies on Karn. While for Stian it was getting in 2 Cross and Grip, 1 Disruptor Flute and 1 Stone Brain, and getting out all his dust because basically it's useless against another Tron. 1 Devourer of Destiny for kind of the same reason, he can lower it down to 3 and still have a good outcome. 3 Sphere because, yeah, maybe it slows down the very first turn, but it does it for both the players. And 1 Dismember, which is not very effective against a Tron deck. So, very nice match, maybe a little bit too long. I would have taken different decisions if I was either of them, but this is how it went, and I liked it. It was entertaining. Now for the last match in this tournament, we have Bjorn with Eldrazi Tron and Jon Inge with Ruby Storm. We saw them both playing along this tournament, but now the situation is kind of different. Tron, as always, suffered combo decks. Will this match prove me wrong? We will see. Expedition map for Bjorn, turn 1. Jon Inge and turn decided to surveil with an elegant parlor. Very elegant. Drawing a card. Fetch for a basic mountain. Two mana. Friends Resolve. Nice. There's one wish upon a star. Second land for Tron. And passing the turn. Scalding Tarn. Played from exile. Fetching for 1. Basic mountain again. and Ral, Monsoon Mage. Probably we're gonna start the combo here. Pyretic Ritual. If Jan is able to storm now, basically there is no possibility for Bjorn to come out with something. I don't think there's any card in Bjorn's deck that can get rid of a storm turn 3. Glimpse the Impossible for 2 mana, and 3 cards exiled. Storm count is 3. 2 instant and sorcery for Ral. 4. Storm count is 4. Ral triggers. Loading the die. Super loading the die. Overpowered die. Nothing happened. Adding 2 red mana through Manamorphose. Is Jan stuck with the storm? It could actually be. Taking a look at the cards we can pick in his hand, there's not enough fuel to keep going. Seems to me at least. And yeah, playing a Ruby Medallion, exiling the Wish from the previous Ren's Resolve, and exiling the cards from the Glimpse the Impossible, creating 2 Eldrazi spawns for the Glimpse the Impossible ability. Doesn't happen so frequently, but it happens every now and then, so it's good to remember. Cracking the map, getting Urza's Tower. This is gonna give Bjorn the possibility to survive this match, maybe. Drawing, playing the Urza's Tower, and now Bjorn has to be very effective. He has to deal with 1 Ral, 1 Ruby Medallion, and 2 Eldrazi Spawns, which could be enough mana on the next turn if Jan draws the right cards. Kozilek Command. 5 spawns and scrying 5. Also in this case, given the fact that the Kozilek Command can exile the graveyard and 5 cards in the graveyard in Ruby Storm graveyard could be very relevant. Yeah, maybe it was worthless, maybe it was better for him to do it now, but I would have waited for Jon's turn to see what was going on and then taking a decision as late as possible. Because now I don't think he has any good answer. Glaring Freshraker. There's no good answer to Storm combo. And he also telling to Jon, please go forth, I have just 2 mana open out of the spawns. Fetching for a basic mountain again. Still guys, that's my opinion, to wait for the Kozilek command. If you have different ideas, please let me know, tell me what you think about it. Glimpse the impossible. It's counted by 2. So now it's gonna exile 3 cards, giving Jon the possibility to keep going with the plan. Reckless Impulse. Ral Trigger. No damage for Storm. Exiling 2. Another Reckless Impulse. Exiling 2 more. Strike It Rich gives the possibility to create a treasure, and it has also flashback for 3 mana, but the flashback can still be discounted by the Ruby Medallion and the Ral ability. Manamorphose, Ral Trigger, one damage, 2 red mana, drawing 1, two mana in the pool, 2 red floating, Strike It Reach from the exile, two Ral's triggers, it flips, it's exactly 8 loyalty counters. There's 1 treasure out of Strike It Reach. Ral triggers anyway, dealing 1 damage to Jon. Sacrificing the 2 spawn in order to play the other Ruby Medallion so that he can still have discount by 2. Ral Ultimate. It's 8 cards. He can play any instant or sorcery for free. And there we go, there's a Grape Shot in the 8. Plus Past in Flames that he can play. Now, still, getting back to the Kozilek command from before, I think at this point, Kozilek command could have been a play in response to the Past in Flame. I think he would have survived, I'm not sure about that, but still. Not relevant anymore at this point. Urza's Power Plant Expedition map for Bjorn. Arithmesa pass the turn for Jon. Elegant Parlor, Surveilling. Fetch to the graveyard. It's time to set up this game for Yoninge. Reckless Impulse. Signing 2 cards. Cracking them up for Bjorn, end of Yoninge's turn. Urza's Mine. It stinks like Tron turns 3 again. Tron completed. And Ujin. Plusing, gaining 3 life. And drawing 1 card. Is it possible for Jon to start comboing right now? Even the fact that whatever he plays out other than the Ruby Medallion, it's gonna get exiled by Eugene. Ren's Resolve. He got rid of the artist talent left exiled from the previous turn. Passing the turn. Karn. Plus again, gaining 3 and drawing 1 card. Cavern of Souls, naming Eldrazi. So will Miko spawn, getting rid of the Parlor and giving Bjorn 1 more land. Another tower. 5 mana open. Talisman of Curiosity. And Malevolent Rumble. 2 mana floating, 2 colorless floating. Another Miko Spawn for later. Plus 1 Eldrazi Spawn out of the Malevolent Rumble. Yon cracks the fetch for another Surveil land. There were a few triggers from Ujin from last turn, but nothing to exile on cast, so nothing special. Prismatic Ending in graveyard. He wants to storm. Storm count is 1. Piratic Ritual. For 2 mana, Ral. For 1 red floating, Manamorphose. Ral triggers, dealing 1 damage, and 2 red floating. That's so brave. But I think another Miko Spawn would be devastating for Yoning. Ren's Resolve. Ral triggers. One, two. Land for turn. And then Piratic Ritual. Guys, apparently he really started the combo. Three red floating. There's a Past in Flame in exile. So he just need to play the ritual he has in his hand, and then who knows? Reckless Impulse. Ral trigger taking 1 damage. Reckless Impulse resolves. Another Reckless Impulse. Ral trigger. Even no damage. Manamorphose. Ral trigger. 1 damage. 2 red floating, drawing 1 for Manamorphose. Desperate Ritual, 4 red floating. Metamorphose, again. Storm count is 10 at this point. He doesn't want to turn Ral because otherwise he has no discount anymore. So he's keeping him on the battlefield just for the sake of having a discount engine. Past in Flames. Storm count 11, total life points 11 for Yoninge. Metamorphose from the graveyard. And apparently it's time to flip the Ral. -8 for Ral. He's putting up front all the rituals he can play. Ral's ultimate. 8 cards. And all the instant and sorceries out of these 8 cards can be cast for free, not paying the mana cost. The rest is exiled. So Reckless Impulse for free. He's separating the cards that don't have flashback, putting them on top of the Past in Flames. So that's nice. The rest of the graveyard has flashback. For 2 mana, Robbie Medallion. Then he can start back playing the rituals. Storm count is 18 now. $21, very close to the needed damage. Piratic Ritual, and with that wish in his hand, I think this is game. There's no way he can lose at this point. And Grape Shot. And then Grape Shot for 25 damage. And this was game. That was brave though. He started with a ritual when there was no mana reducer yet in play. And then with that ritual he played the Ral and then he started comboing. And that was very brave and very good. Like, it was a very good game of Storm. On the other hand, Bjorn didn't have any way out, so he played what he could. But probably if I was in Bjorn, I would have probably mulligan in order to have something to deal with the combo. I mean, it's a difficult choice when you have a good hand to start with and you decide to mulligan in order to find a piece of hate, but sometimes you have to probably. Sometimes it's just something you gotta go to. Well, no sideboard shown for this matchup, but this was very good. We enjoyed the games. And I hope you had fun here on Stuck is Lava. Please, as always, subscribe and hit the ring bell and keep sticking with us because the Stuck is on fire and we like it. Enjoy, guys. Have a good one. To the next time.